She wanted a pancake, no pan, no cake, but still wanted the pancake.
That's
Casino trip, full of chips. Wanna flip, double it.
Welcome to the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you'll never lose, where the stakes are high, the takes are bold, and the conversations are always full of chips. With your hosts, Chris the Dice Degen and Craig from Old Bay Craps, you're tuned in to Full of Chips, the podcast where we dive into our experiences gambling and stories straight from the casino floor. Whether you're a seasoned pro at the craps table or just curious what the buzz is about, you're in the right place. Each week, we break down the games, talk to the experts, and bring you tips that could tilt the odds in your favor. So grab your lucky charm, stack your chips, and let's roll into today's episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of the Full of Chips podcast with your host, Chris the Dice Degen and Craig from Old Bay Craps. Craig, how are we doing on this fine evening?
we're doing pretty good on this fine evening. We are chill and we are taking it all in. And man, we were just talking about this off camera. The shorts that we're putting out, they are just hit or miss. But when they hit, they seem to be really grabbing some people, and we're getting more likes, and I'm kind of liking that. And we're actually getting more feedback and comments, which is really cool. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we like, I don't mean to sound facetious when we say it. Like, we really do appreciate the comments, the feedback, all that kind of stuff. Because one, it helps us, but also, like, Craig and I have a whole list of topics and stuff that we want to discuss at certain points and whatnot. But like, if there's a pressing topic that somebody wants to hear about or for us to dive into, like, we're more than happy to do so. We may have it on our list already, and we can shuffle some things around and whatever. But there will obviously be some very timely topics about different things that go on and whatnot. So we really do appreciate it. So if you have comments, send us an email, right? We've been getting more emails, which is great. Drop a comment. And for the email, just so I can put it on the screen, because I know Craig likes to see it about
over here.
my
Over
hands
here.
are all crooked. It's over there.
It'll be over here.
Full of chips podcast at gmail.com. That's where you can find us. But yeah, we're coming off a great episode in person. Really enjoyed that one. That was awesome getting to hang out with Craig and everybody. And we're gonna talk about hanging out with some people today. But first, as we always do, Craig, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking what most people drink on a plane when they're going to Vegas, which is probably a cranberry vodka.
There you go. A little cranberry vodka. What kind of vodka do we have in there?
I knew you were going to ask that. Starts with a B. It says organic vodka on it.
Belvedere?
It could be Belvedere.
Is it a
Does
glass
Bellinger
bottle with
sound familiar?
glass bottle with some like vines going up it?
Yes. Is that Belvedere?
It's Belvedere.
It's a Belvedere organic vodka, and it's sitting in the freezer.
There you go. See, DJ and the alcoholic over here. Just kidding, everybody. I don't really drink that much. I know my vodkas though. That's the Polish in me. That's the I know my vodkas pretty well. Yeah, I'm not an alcoholic tonight. I am drinking coffee and water
What was your turn?
because well, that and also I'm on meds for my ankle that you know about. I can't mix shit with it. So I no beverages for me besides the coffee and the water over
DJ's in
here.
withdrawal.
Yeah, for anybody at home who cares, I absolutely destroyed my ankle. Those like sports videos that you see of like a really bad injury? That's what happened to Degen. The video is gruesome. I will not put it up because YouTube will probably take it down. But just think like Nick Chubb getting hit and tearing his ACL. Think Dak Prescott getting hit and what his leg looked like. Yeah, my leg kind of looked like that, but it wasn't my knee, it was my ankle. So anyway, you can't be indulging on the alcoholic beverages, but coffee and water will suffice. And episode 9, baby. I'm excited. I'm really enjoying this, Craig.
Yeah, man, I'm having fun.
It's always a blast. And today we're going to talk about something that is a lot of fun. At least for us, we think it's a lot of fun. And that topic is meetups. So a lot of people in the craps world, because Craig and I are obviously very big part in the craps world, but trying to, diversify our portfolio a little bit into other genres and niches, Blackjack and other stuff. I've been trying to wiggle my way into some of those forums and other stuff. But meetups are a lot of fun usually. And we're going to talk about meetups today. So, and this isn't necessarily just like when you go somewhere and you see somebody it's like a scheduled, organized meetup. So, Craig, right off the bat, do you like meetups or are you not a fan of meetups?
Do like meetups, and again, we're talking about meetups first. We will then get into joining a crew of some kind. So this is not the crew part. This is just the meetups. So this could be locally with your buds, or believe me, if it's with strangers you've met on Discord, people have met up in different local casinos. So we're talking the art of the casino meetup. We're talking equal parts social finesse, strategic planning, and a dash of bravado.
Oh
But you're
yeah.
talking about, again, meeting up with, maybe you're just your buds, you're going out for a night, for the lucky losers night, that you maybe do once a week, or it's just a local meetup. I happen to like local meetups. I have not been to a local meetup in quite some time. The last time I went, it was down at Maryland Live, which is about an hour south of me, and that's where I met up with Clay, uh, Jeff, Mid Atlantic Craps, who we interviewed earlier, and some other people from more so the Mid Atlantic Craps crew prior to AC Craps crew. But some of the people that are in that Mid Atlantic also go to Atlantic City, and we'll talk about the crews later. But I do like meetups. I just don't get a chance to do many meetups. I did a meetup with my brother at the local casino up north at Hollywood. He just played slots, and then he came over and talked to me. Now, when he came over and talked to me, I was 400 up. For some reason, by the end of it, I was even, and we just went home and went our separate ways. But you know, meetups are fun. They're just fun because you tend to go with people typically. Um, Again, sometimes you meet people in Discord and you don't know them, but they live in your area. And that's what makes it easier to go to a local casino as a meetup. You're not really hanging out outside of the casino. It's just you all meet at the casino of choice. So, what do you do for your pre gaming plan there, Chris?
So interesting, because it depends if I'm traveling somewhere or not. Like you said, a lot of local meetups, where Discord very very popular, because there's a lot of people who are local. So we'll plan to go. Quite a few of us will plan to go to a certain casino. So those ones are typically maybe a little bit less, let's say, structured and organized. I just kind of treat it as like a trip to the casino with some friends that I get to talk to, yada yada yada. And then if I'm going to like a meetup that's like a big scheduled, organized meetup, there's definitely a lot of planning that goes into it that we've discussed, in previous episodes with the bankroll management, where am I staying, all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, the planning is the communication part of it, right? So figuring out who's available when, where are we going, right? Locally, luckily, there's quite a few options. So, discuss which casino do we want to go to, what game are we looking to play. Now a lot of the individuals who want to meet up are typically craps related, but there's some who want to play blackjack, baccarat, other stuff like that, so that may also dictate where we go, just looking for specific conditions on the tables and whatnot. But generally it's the figuring out who, what, and where and when. So that's really it. And then we try to vary it around a little bit, especially, in like the Philadelphia area. One time we might go to Valley Forge, next time we might go up to like Wind Creek and Bethlehem. Like we'll figure out different locations to go to, and really have a great time. And I really do like the meetups for that aspect because you get to meet new people. Right. Sometimes you're meeting, old friends, all that kind of stuff. But it's like it's one of those things where we go and I could not talk to this person for a couple months, and it's like we were just talking on the phone yesterday.
Now, I know exactly what you mean. I actually have a person who I used to work with, and we both have a love for movies, but he's been going to the casino frequently, and we have been trying to meet up for months now, and I can't believe this. Chris, he literally calls me or texts me Sunday night, and he's like, "Hey, I really want to play with you at our local, like, meaning like Maryland Live, or because we both live in the same area." And he said, "But I happen to be in Atlantic City till tomorrow." And I was like, You got to be kidding me. I said, I'm coming to Atlantic City on Tuesday morning. So we just missed each other. And it's like we keep on missing each other and we're just trying to meet up, but you're right. With a local meetup, the pre-planning, you got to set the vibe, right? Again, some of these things that we talk about, you experience the same things when you go to trip planning, like for Vegas or Biloxi or Atlantic City. Like you have to decide, or is it a social trip? Is it everybody coming to win money? Like what is your choice of fare? And where are you meeting? That's going to be important too. um, it is easier for when you have people in your local area to meet at a local casino than say, hey, are you all available on this weekend to go to Atlantic City? It's much easier, hey, you all want to go to the casino on Friday night, because it's only like a half hour or 45 minutes probably for most. I know that there's some people we know who are hours away from a casino, so local meetups really aren't a thing. They would have to travel definitely overnight and at a hotel stay.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes, into the planning piece of it where, figuring out which casino to go to and stuff. And, some people are willing to drive a little bit more and then, drive home. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I actually went out to, I drove a few hours to go to a meetup, just for the day. Like, I went, drove about 2.5 hours to meet up with a few people in the craps community, and then drove home that night. I didn't have to. I could have stayed if I wanted to. Didn't want to really. I just figured, I'll go for the day, hang out, do some food, do some gambling, and then come back home. But it's awesome. And, like then they came towards me next time. Right. So like you have that give and take. But it's great to get to, hang out with people and play and, you learn about them as a person. Right. But then, the play styles, all that kind of stuff, very interesting. Even though you and I have been playing craps for a while, like we're still always learning, right? And I'm not saying that like I'm learning what the bets are on the craps table. Believe me, I know what those are. But like I'm learning, different aspects of people's games and maybe figuring out, oh, I could adopt that into my play. And it goes, we talked about come out games, right? The way I play my come out game is a learned thing through meeting people and talking to them and seeing how they play their come out action. That's how now I play my come out action. I didn't come up one day and be like, "Ooh, this $5 world, dollar ace deuce. Like, let me try this." No, I saw people do it and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let me take a look at this." And then I talked to them about it a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then, I played around with it on my table a little bit to really figure it out. And I was like, this is great for me. Might not be great for you, but it works well for me.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, when you and I met for a meetup, I met you at your house. And if you're fortunate enough to have people in your local group that meet up that has a craps table, which Chris does, we were in the garage for a couple hours. We even went live together with the Crapsy app, whatever. And, we had people betting against our rolls and we each just took turns to roll. But what we were really doing was we were getting a good warm up in before we went to the local casino near him, which at the time was Parks. It is no longer Parks. So Chris has a great story that I don't know when we'll tell it, but we will eventually tell it. But we all know that Valley Forge is his main local casino now. But the next time I meet him, we're probably going to go to Valley Forge.
Have some cheesesteaks before it.
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah.
but no, but you brought up a really interesting point too with like, somebody who has a table at their house, right? That's another meetup that doesn't even involve going to the casino, right? Like sometimes my neighbors will come over and other people who are like, closer. And I don't just invite strangers over. So don't email me thinking you can come to my house and like play craps. You can't. All right. I have to meet you first and I have to know who you are first. But once I get to know you, and don't worry, I don't bite. I'm a nice person. Then you can come over and you can play. But yeah, like people will come over and like they want to work on their toss. They want to work on, betting strategies. They want to work on this. And like, not that I am experienced enough and, a good enough shooter or anything to be able to critique people's dice throwing and other stuff. But it's just the sheer practice, getting the reps in that, some people really want that like I may take for granted because I have the table right behind me that I could be on a meeting and just go, you know what? put the headset in, and here we go. Get a couple tosses in. And even like betting strategies and other stuff, or like situations that you may find yourself in, just random chucking the dice, and like you're working through a betting system that you may want to try, or you see something on YouTube from somebody and you want to try it. Like, you don't know how many people want to come over and try Wayland strategies, right? And I always find it funny because, like, I watch Wayland, so like I understand the strategy. So as soon as they're like, "Oh, I found this new strategy, I got to try it," I'm like, "All right, come over, like, let's figure it out." And as soon as they start doing it, I'm like, "That Wayland's blah blah blah," and they're like, "Yep." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "You know?" I'm like, "Yeah, brother Wayland's. I can text him right now if you want me to."
Right.
So shout out brother Wayland, love you,
There
brother.
you go. The last piece I'll talk about with pre-planning is, you know, time it right. So obviously, most times you're probably getting together for a Friday night, something like that. Even a Thursday night. I've heard of people getting together on like Thursday nights, which makes for a great Friday morning at work if you had a good session. But if you're meeting like on the weekends, time it. So sometimes in a lot of local casinos, like the craps table at my local does not even open until noon at Hollywood Casino, and in Maryland Live, they don't even open till 9 a.m. So you want to play when you can and when you're going to get the most out of it, out of being able to actually play together. It's a lot easier in places like Atlantic City or Vegas if you're going with a group because you literally could pick 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and probably get a table to yourself. You might have one person who's been there all night long, but for the most part, you'll be able to, play together and then not have interruptions or have other outside folks joining your table.
Yeah, that's a good point because like Valley Forge is the same way. Valley Forge isn't open till like 11 a.m. or something. Now the casino's open, the craps table's not open. No table games are open. And I think it's like 11 o'clock on the weekends. It may be 10.
Yeah.
But people who want to meet up with me, especially on Sundays, know that if it's on a Sunday, it has to be as soon as the table's open because DGen has to be back to watch football.
That's right. Between September and February, he's unavailable, folks. He's unavailable.
I'm unavailable. I'm emotionally unavailable. I'm everything unavailable. Especially on Sundays or on anytime it's the Eagles game. I am unavailable. I am not. No, 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 not going anywhere. I want to be at my house or I guess somewhere else watching the game if I'm with people. But like I will not sit in the sports book and watch the Eagles. I can tell you that. I'd like to be in a let's say controlled and safe environment.
Right. So getting into some group dynamics, you want to clarify your expectations, right? Again, we said before, is this a social hang? Is it a strategy planning session that you all want to try strategies, or are you taping a podcast? Maybe Chris and I are going live or something at a table, and so we want to plan that out. What are the expectations? Obviously, we all want it to be a winning event, or a winning session, but let guests know what to expect. Let people that are coming over know what to expect. Again, if you're doing something like Chris has talked about, which is he has a 12-foot actual craps table, so he has neighbors that come over or friends that come over who want to play, and they kind of make a night of it. And I'm sure Chris
Yep.
is always the one ended up being the dealer. Uh, Plus,
Yes.
I know that Chris likes to make sure the bets are paid properly, so he'll probably offer to be the dealer or
Yes.
or the stick person.
Yeah, especially because like, I have the table, so for me, like whatever they want to do, I don't really care. And I don't need to practice my betting or like I don't need to practice my throwing 'cause I can practice whenever I want. So yeah, I usually deal from the stick though, because it's just easier. But I guess it's not really easier on my back, but it's easier for perspective of I don't have to reverse my thinking and reverse where I'm standing on the table, so I can just stand there and run the stick, um, and deal. But yeah, that's usually you're right. DGen is working when people come over.
So, whether it's at your house or whether you're going to your local with a group on a particular day or night, how are you mixing up the format? Are you starting with like drinks and dinner? Are you letting the winning session dictate where you're all having dinner afterwards? Stuff like that, or are you all playing the same games? I think you mentioned earlier some people, not everybody plays craps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. Because like I think it depends really on timing, right? Like, you talked about when are you gonna go know when the table's open. So like if it's in the morning and like people have eaten already or whatever, then we can hop right into a session. If people are hungry, like we always talk about that beforehand too. We try to be like, what's the expectation here, right? Are you going to be eating before you get here? Are we eating when we get here? And then there's nothing better than a good celebration meal after a good session. I know like when it's at my house, it's just willy nilly kind of like, I ask people, you want food? You want me to cook? Are we ordering? What are we doing? Drinks are always flowing, so that's never a concern in my house. But yeah, I mean it depends on kind of the time. For me personally, if I'm playing anywhere in the morning, I usually don't eat. I'm not a morning eater. So I'm looking to eat, you know, after the session. But if people want to eat pre-session, I'll go hang out. I probably won't eat, but I'll go hang out and like chit chat while we're eating or whatever. Just get a coffee or whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm not a morning eater. I mean, you know this. I'm not a morning eater, and I like to go eat uh, unless it takes 2 hours. But we'll get into that later.
So if we're talking about group dynamics and we're talking about maybe more advanced people that have been playing the games that you love for a while, not just your neighbors or your maybe even local friends, we're talking probably a small meetup at a local with people that are already in the craps community. So like I said, I've met with people down at Maryland Live. I've met people like Justice Jen, who pretty much travels the whole country because she lives in San Francisco, right? But she's often in
Yep.
DC. So she'll come up to Maryland Live. And when she does, she's the kind of person in that group who writes down and tracks all sessions. So if you have a small group, she will track the rolls around the entire table, including every single person around the table, not just people that are part of the group. Are you tracking your rolls at the craps table? Are you tracking your sessions at Blackjack? Um, I know that I've gotten a couple of tips from her from doing that. And I've actually gone up and looked at her notebook, and I'm telling you that she writes down every single roll. And I'm not sure if she writes down what kind of roll it was, like a 6 4 10, but she might. I think she's like trying to be the human bone tracker when it comes to recording rolls, but she will track sessions. It's interesting to go up to her afterwards and find out, how did I do? How many rolls did I have? It's interesting to see how your ups and downs were, because that gives you an idea of, did I progress my bets correctly? But once you get into a real rhythm with playing with advantaged players, you kind of know your progressions because you're kind of playing the same way each time. You may deviate a little bit depending on what's happening at the table, whether you're locally or you're in Vegas or Atlantic City. But you're tracking your sessions and you're finding out what's working and you're betting that way. Um, but when you have a group dynamic, is your group filled with people like Chris's group? I imagine Chris amongst his friends is probably the one that's most prolific in playing craps, or even
For sure.
blackjack. I'm not sure. Like
Definitely.
I went. I'm gonna go probably with my older brother. He's been playing blackjack longer than I have. He's been playing for years. So I'm interested to see how he plays versus how I play. So each group's going to have a dynamic of beginners to advanced players.
Yeah, and I think like you said, right, you have to kind of know what's going. So like I treat it as almost two different trips, let's say. So like I have my social trip, right? And like the social aspect when I know I'm going to be chit-chatting a lot and doing other stuff. The bets are very, very simple. There's nothing crazy. They don't get very high either unless the roll is going really, really well. Then maybe you'll see some higher bets up there. But like the way I play is very, very basic when I know I'm going to be, distracted and doing other stuff. Whereas like if I'm playing with, a group of, advantage players, like you were saying, like I treat that like a business trip almost. That's like very transactional. I'm focused, I'm locked, doing what I'm doing. And then afterwards is time, like when we go eat or when we go take a break, that's time for the chit chat. But at the tables, there's like virtually no chit chatting going on. Right. And that's something you have to figure out with the group dynamic. When you were talking about tracking roles, I used to track roles at the table in a notebook, right? I don't really do that anymore for two reasons. One, especially during those social sessions, I'm distracted. I'm not really paying attention because I'm having a conversation with somebody. So I'm not really writing roles down. I don't want to be rude, especially if people are like traveling in. I don't want to be rude and be writing down roles. Not that it's rude, but I just find it rude, so I don't want to do it. But in the sessions I will use, you know how Clay tracks box hits and stuff. I will track
Yep.
that because that takes virtually zero mental focus for me, and I can do it because I've been doing it for a while. Again, if I'm in Atlantic City with Clay, I don't do it because I know he's got it going on, so I can just look over at him and be like, what do we got?
I was just
But
gonna say you track yourself. You may not be tracking the exact rolls, but you're tracking the numbers that are hit.
Exactly. And then if we're like at my house, I'll run, the Craps Nation KPI tracker the entire time. People are shooting and stuff. I'll put the names in, all that kind of stuff, just to look back at it after the fact. Because like when people come over and they want to run like different betting stuff or they want to work on tosses or stuff, definitely use that to kind of review and debrief upon what happened. So that I do track. But again, I'm not really doing anything besides paying people and running stick and stuff. So I will also track rolls there, and it's right in front of them. So it's dark in my room right now. I'm not going to turn the lights on, but on top of my table there's a TV. So like I'll plug the computer into the TV, or I'll cast from my phone to the TV, and I'll have the tracker going. So like at any given time, people can look up and see like what the roles are looking like.
So I thought next we would go into. I know we didn't hold extensive episode on etiquette, but I thought we'd go in a little bit about etiquette and engagement at a meetup. And I thought it'd be neat if we dove into respecting the space, being inclusive of the people that you came to the meetup with. And I wanted to specifically talk about being a blocker in craps.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so
Blockers
respecting
are very important.
so respecting the space. Casinos are public. There's no way to really keep the noise down. Um, Obviously there's people who do go there to film. There's discretion. They're not really filming up at the dealer or the dealers and the pit boss and all. Um, but when you talk about respecting the space, besides not crowding the person next to you, what else do you think of when you hear respecting the space?
A couple of things come to mind, and these are, I think, a lot of things. The first one too is ignored by most, and it's one of my pet peeves. I should have put it on the pet peeve episode, but I didn't. When you are at the tables, okay, respect yourself, respect the people who are around you, clean up your damn empty beverages. Okay. This one gets me so aggravated because there's been times where I'm playing at the table and there's somebody who's like just drinking, whatever they're drinking. But then underneath of me is just a growing line of empties. The trash can's not far away. Walk it over, right? If you're with me at the craps table, you always see me. I'm constantly walking empties over for two reasons. One, I don't want them in front of me. And two, I don't like to touch them, right? So like people don't even realize this, but like when you're shooting and if you like, you could potentially be hitting those things. They could be messing you up and stuff. So that's a respect thing that I have, is like clean up after yourself. I have that with a lot of things, but especially the casino or like the blackjack table, right? Most of them have little cup holders at the tables. When you're getting up, take your drink with you. Don't leave it there, out of respect for the players, but also out of respect for the staff, because then they got to go get gloves and pick up your nasty beverage and throw it in the trash or do whatever they got to do. Like, don't make them work like that, and respect that space. Other things, right, for me too, are the crowding, right? You mentioned that. That's always important, but also tone of voice, and knowledge of what you're saying, and it could be distracting to others. So like for me, I can block out a lot of things, but if you're standing next to me having a conversation, you're like yelling at the person you have a conversation with, like I can't block that out. It's gonna bother me, and I'm gonna tell you to shut up. So, like when people are around the table, like have courtesy and don't have super loud conversations, and also focus on what the topic of your conversation is, right? Like if you're talking about something that's okay to talk about in public, fine. But like, I don't need to hear about like what you and your ex were doing last night. Like, I don't need to hear about that while I'm at the tables.
No, and you made a good point earlier. I wanted to just say something on the tail end of your about being at the blackjack table and the drinks. You know, at the craps table, take advantage of when the drink lady does come by or drink person comes by. And if you're getting a new drink from them, give them your old drink. It's not that hard. It's literally just you pick it up and put it on the tray for them. They might even thank you. They might even say, "Excuse me, let me go in there and get those empty cups." You know, it's a great way for clearing out the rails underneath because it does get distracting when, especially when it's not your turn to shoot and you're just standing around and you've got this plethora of crap that people have been drinking all morning, and a lot of times it's alcohol. So you have that smell coming up at you, and you're like, I did not come here for a coffee run to smell beer at the drink row. So
Yep,
it's like just
exactly.
give it to the damn wait staff and they'll take it away for you. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Or do what Chris said. There's a trash can 6 feet from the table. Go throw it away, asshole.
No, that's true. Any other etiquette things you can think of for around the tables?
I would say be inclusive because when we talk about meetups, again, there are going to be some people who are beginners at playing the games that you love to play. And when there are some beginners, and even, you know, again, we'll get into the crew in just a minute because there's always going to be new people that are added to the crew, right? But when you're talking about meetups, make sure you're inclusive. And we're not talking about, you know, one arm around them while you're trying to shoot. You know, we're just talking about, you know, if they haven't really played a game or are unfamiliar with a game that you're playing, give them some easy concepts that they can just remember. Like give them maybe 4 things and say, if you
Yep.
can remember 3 of the 4, I'll be happy. You know, but just make the bets small. Tell them you can bet minimum and let them go at it. Tell them here, this is all self-service area. You want to put anything in the self-service area, go for it. Just don't have your hands in the tub, you know. But just be inclusive of people who may be just beginning the game, whether it's blackjack or craps or baccarat or you know any other table game. If it's slot machines, you probably put them there so that you can concentrate as an advantage player at craps. So
Yeah.
you stuck them at the slot machines to just be out of your way. But then again, you have to ask yourself, why did you come to the casino with that person?
No, exactly. And talking about, going with other people and stuff, one other etiquette thing too is like if you agree on a time and you're not gonna make that time, like let people know, okay? Like there's nothing worse to me that and it gets me really aggravated if like you tell me, all right, we're meeting at this casino at noon. All right, great. I don't need you to be there at 11:30. I don't need you to be there at 11:45. I don't need you to necessarily be there at 12, but like be there close to that. Don't tell me let's meet at noon, not talk to me at all, and then show up at 2 or 3 o'clock. Like have the courtesy to tell people, especially if there's multiple people going, and like even if it's a single person, right? Like it's just coming to mind because I made a special trip to go meet up with somebody and I was there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I'm texting. I'm waiting. I'm texting. And it's like they didn't get back to me for like 3 hours. And they're like, well, I can come over now. Sorry, I got caught up doing something. I'm like, I've already been here for 3 hours. Like, was I playing? Of course. But like I've already been here. Like, if you come over now, then I have to stay extra now because now I have to actually meet up with you. Right.
And
And
you may
it's
have
not
just
that like
broken even.
yeah, and it's not that like I find a problem with the whole like I have to stay longer. It's just like have the common decency to let me know if you're going to be late or if you can't make it at all. Like that's fine. But like don't tell me you're going to be here at 6 p.m. and then not answer me. Again, there's certain situations where things happen, right? I get it, life happens. But like the reasoning, it's got to be something good. And don't make up a reason either. But like, just have the decency to like text people and be like, hey, I'm going to be late. All right, fine, no problem. Like, just let me know. I appreciate that. And, we're good. But like, don't just not let me know until like, oh yeah, I can show up. I'll be there in like 30 minutes. It's 3 hours later. And now it's 3.5 hours later. And I still got to drive home. Like,
I've actually
dampens.
driven halfway down. I was in the tunnel when I got the text that the person couldn't make it, and I was meeting them at Maryland Live. Like, what? What? So I still went. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go. You know, I was already committed to going. Um, so we've been waiting to talk about a little bit about this, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about it as part of the etiquette and engagement section here. But we're going to bring it up more when we talk about being with a crew. but it's about being a blocker. So a landing zone, can get crowded with players' chips. We all know, especially with pass line bets, and the dealer's always telling newbies, you got to play odds. You got to be, where are your odds? Where are your odds? Put your odds back there. And they're just stacking chips and stacking chips. And Chris, you and I know some players who they will stack some chips behind as odds. And we're talking black chips, we're talking green chips, but they'll stack them. So be a blocker for a shooter that in your group, and ask if the people down at your end can move the chips out of their landing zone. You're doing it for two reasons. One, it's courteous to the shooter that you came with, but you also want some winning rolls. What's the point of it being all clogged up with chips just for your friend to shoot a 7 in craps? It's no fun. Now, are you going to get people, and Chris will probably talk about this because I know he's seen it. Are you going to get people that refuse to move their chips because they don't give a shit and they actually tell you that? My retort to them, and this is when I'm the shooter and people are trying to block for me, is when I'm a shooter, I actually will retort back. So you don't want my roll to go long even though you're on the pass line. You don't want me to make a point. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what you're telling me. You're telling me you don't want a winning roll. You don't want to make money. Is that why you're just here to hang out? I said, because everybody else here is here to make money. So if you would kindly move your chip, and you've seen people, Chris, talk about it. You've seen people who just refuse to move their chips.
Oh yeah. I mean, to the point where some people are so indignant about it that they will actually stack even more chips in your way. And I'm like, well, you're just an asshole. But it's a really important group dynamic piece and an etiquette piece there too, is like getting set up on both sides of the table where you can have somebody ask, hey, do you mind moving your line bet? And there's a nice way to ask, right? Don't just tell somebody, hey, move that. Say, hey, do you mind moving this? The shooter's going to be landing the dice in this general area. So do you mind just shifting those a little bit? Some people, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. All right, fine. If you believe that, whatever. But again, most of the people who have a problem with it are on the pass line. So I'm like, why would you want to cause the shooter extra strife or make them move their landing zone so you can have your chips? Like, we do it all the time to the point where some dealers like, I don't even know whose bet this is. And we're like, we got it. Don't worry. Like, they're all stacked. They're fine. The other aspect with that too, right, is I know a lot of people like playing the bonus bets and stuff, and you need to have a pass line bet at most casinos to play the bonus. But like, if you're not playing the bonus bets, get the hell off the pass line unless you're a pass line max odds player, right? But like, if you are playing, especially with a crew, and you're not playing bonus bets, don't bet the pass line. Just bypass it. I understand you may miss out on a couple rolls. You may miss out on, some come out action, some other stuff. So be it. All right. Get off the pass line and just let the shooter have a clean landing zone. The blocker is very important. It's one of the most important roles, honestly, besides being probably the shooter. But you don't always have to block the line bets either. You block people from coming in and buying in mid-roll, right? Because if the shooter has the dice, they're focused on what they're focused on. And I see someone coming in, I'm, whoa, no. Shooter's got the dice. Wait till the puck turns off. Or go get chips somewhere else and come back. But like, you're not buying in to interrupt my shooter. Absolutely not. And I will step to somebody if they're doing that. Like, I will step in front of them and be like, no. And I will say something to them.
And you also brought it up in a previous episode, Chris, and that was a good point. You also brought up like the silent blocker, the person that you came with who is in the rail next to you, who will order your drink for you and block the drink staff from interrupting you when you're shooting. And they already know what you want. They already have the tip ready. They may even take it out of their own rail because it's just $1 for the tip, whatever. And they'll turn around instead of you having to turn around when the drink staff comes by, and they'll order your drink for you. And they'll even put it down to your rail without you even knowing. So the blocker is such a it's like the goalie in hockey. I don't know. It's just you're blocking everything and anything that's going to interrupt game flow, interrupt the shooter, especially when the shooter's part of your group. But Chris and I we'll block for somebody. We'll stay if we're in the hook, and sometimes we can only get into the hook. The prime positions are taken. But if we're in the hook and there's a guy that we know, maybe a local person at a local casino that we know comes here often, shoots pretty well, I don't mind blocking for that person. They don't know who I am. They don't even know my name, but I know they shoot well and I want a winning session. So I will ask the person without them even prompting me to ask, say, hey, do you mind moving your pass line right? Because he lands his dice right here.
Yep.
And oftentimes people will oblige. They will.
Oh yeah.
You're always going to get obviously people on the don't hate you and don't give a crap. They're automatic. Some of them are some are good at it and they're very silent at it, and that's what you want out of a don't player. But some people are just complete assholes who play the don't, and they want the seven to come, and they will yell it at the top of their lungs, which Chris already said. The loud banger and the loud player are probably a don't player who thinks he's cocky and will win every don't play. And the best thing to do is just hit your points and knock their ass off every single time, or throw an 11 during the come out.
Like I did in the morning. But that's beside the point. The thing with this, right, is especially with like the local meetups and other stuff, right? You learn the tendencies of people, and that kind of takes us into, the crews, right? And like joining and playing with a crew and things like that. So like obviously Craig and I have played a lot together, right? And we play with a lot of the same people, but that's because we're in, the Atlantic City Craps crew, in other crews. So Craig, how do you go about kind of joining one of these crews?
Well, the great thing about like the craps crew that we're in, the Atlantic City craps crew that was created, is that it's more of an organized casino crew versus like a casual gambling squad. We have a group chat. Everybody kind of gets on it when we have something coming up. Or the great thing is the group is centralized in New Jersey, which is close to AC. AC's in New Jersey. So a lot of people that are in the crew play every single week, or they play during the week, because a lot of people part of the crew are retired folks who can play any time of the day. So what's great is that in the group chat, you always have somebody who's playing. And whether you have a crew member go on a cruise or something, or you have them playing their local, we all like to tell each other how we're doing and how our sessions went. But being in an organized crew is so much more fun than just trying to find people to meet up with. And I got started, like I said on the interview with Jeff, is the first time I went to the Atlantic City Craps crew was through really meeting Jeff, Chris, Lou, who uh, hopefully you all get to meet Lou sometime, because he was the first person in YouTube that I battled in a live session with, and I got my ass kicked by Lou. Lou's a very good shooter. We love him. He's part of the Craps crew. And, when I got there, I met Jeff first, and then I met everybody else, and they all couldn't be nicer. Everybody's kind in the group. There aren't any like loudmouth schnooks that really shouldn't be part of the crew. Everybody's genuine. Everybody is willing to help the other player do well at the table. You can't ask for anything better than that, can you?
No, definitely not. And like, I would highly recommend joining a crew to anybody who's thinking about it. And it's not that you have to be there all the time, right? There's plenty of times where I can't make, a session people are playing and other stuff, but like, there's times where I can. So I go and, we hang out, we have a great time. But if you are interested in joining a crew, right? Get involved in the community of even the game that you are interested in, right? If it's craps, get involved in the craps community. If it's blackjack, get involved in the blackjack community, right? Also, when you're at your local, talk to people, okay? Like, meet people. They may be close by, they may be further away, but you can almost form your own like mini crew or your own crew, right? And you'll have consistent people to go play with, take trips with, do whatever. But it adds to that social aspect. And like going down, right? Go to Atlantic City. To be honest with you, the only reason I go to Atlantic City is to go meet up with people from the crew, right? I'm lucky enough that I have casinos. Atlantic City's an hour and 45 minutes from me, right? I could drive to like 6 or 7 other casinos. Nah, maybe more than that. And then let's call it 8 casinos that are closer than Atlantic City. But I choose to go down there to go hang out with the crew, and because I enjoy spending time with them. So, and just bullshitting and all that kind of stuff. So like, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, get involved in the community, right? I got involved because I was, again, talking to Craig, talking to Jeff, talking to Ted, talking to all these people. And it's like, hey, like, we go play regular. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me know when you guys are going, and, I'll try to make it if it works out for my schedule. Then you get involved, and it's like, boom, the crew keeps growing and growing and growing to the point where Craig said, right? There's somebody probably playing almost every day. And you get to meet even more people. And then, you bring your friends in and you bring other people in. But that happens by being social and interacting with people. So if there's, YouTubers or forums that you're a part of, right? And you're interested in playing with them or in a casino near them or something like that, or you want to get connected with people in a certain area, reach out, right? Be social about it. It doesn't hurt to ask, all right? Most of us, I'm not going to say all, but most of us will take the time to respond, and we will try to give you the best information that we can. There's a few people who are, they'll tell you to, go screw yourself. We won't. All right. We know a lot of people. But again, that's through forging relationships and talking to people.
No, I think what's really great about a crew is that it's made up of people with tons of experience. And again, this is a craps cruise, so the game that the majority of us play is craps. Yes, there are people that have played poker tournaments. There are people that still, when there's downtime between craps sessions, go and play poker together, or Chris and I will play blackjack together. There are other games that we play together, but when you have a crew like the craps crew that we're in, it is built of people that have been playing for me 3 years to people that have been playing for 30 plus years. So that shared knowledge, that's where you find the best shared knowledge, I think, is when you're part of a crew. Because on top of the sharing the knowledge, could you ask for a more built-in support system than a crew, Chris?
No, you honestly can't. And like the thing with the crew, right? Obviously, it started as, gambling, right? But like it's like family now, right? Like all these people, I mean, Craig included, right? Like we don't even have to go gamble to like have a great time, right? We can go out to eat, we can go do whatever. I mean, we're checking in on people, see how they're doing. Hey, haven't heard from you in a while. How you been? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's your husband? How's whatever, right? We're always checking in to see how people are doing. And like it's to the point where, a lot of these crew members, especially in the Atlantic City crew, like, I I mean, if they need something, I'm there. And like it's not just because like I want to seem like, oh, I'm a great person or whatever. It's not that. It's just I genuinely care about these people. And like if they need something, I'm there for
But think
them.
about it. Wins feel sweeter when you're around your own crew members, right? Losses sting a little bit less, but the great thing is you have a whole crew to talk about the session over and do a debrief, probably at breakfast. If it was a great winning session, you're probably hanging with somebody who's 7 stars,
Oh yeah.
and you get the perks of the VIP perks that you normally wouldn't get if you weren't part of a craps crew that had people who, again, like we said, you're going to have people in the crew with various years of experience, but also people with various comps and rewards and levels of comps and rewards. We're fortunate enough that the Atlantic City Craps crew, we mainly play Caesars properties. I happen to think, and maybe Chris too, I'm not sure. I happen to think that Caesars has probably some of the best rewards in gambling. And it offers various levels of comps and rewards. And when you get somebody who's VIP, I think Chris talked about it maybe on the last episode that, sometimes you get to hang out in the VIP room with that person and part of the crew, and, you're all drinking, smoking it up, whatever, and hanging out, and, you're all chilling before going right back to the tables. So that built-in support system, it also keeps your morale in check. Because if you are having a bad session and somebody had a good session prior, or you both were part of the table and one of you made money and one of you didn't, you have that support system to talk about, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? How could I have improved my play? So that we both go into the next session kind of having a plan of how we want to attack the table.
Yep. No, I would highly encourage people join a crew, start your own crew, go about it in the right way, right? Be social, be nice, be welcoming, be inclusive, like Craig said. And trust me and trust Craig, right? Once you have like that crew, There's really nothing better, and like you actually look forward to those trips a lot more, I would say, when you know you get to see people. And obviously we all want winning sessions, but like Craig said, right, sometimes hanging out with people is even better. It's great when you're winning, but when you're losing too, it's still nice to, go hang out with people and, get to just chit chat and, know that you weren't in it alone. Not that we want to lose, but if you're gambling, it happens.
But you have that accountability piece, right, Chris?
Yep.
You have that your crew is not going to let you chase your losses. They know
Yeah.
better and they will
Yeah.
stop you from going off script. They will that's the great thing. They will intervene if they see you doing something that you don't normally do
Yep.
in
100%.
the wrong way. If they see you press your bet, maybe they'll be like, what did you know that you didn't tell us?"
Yeah,
But
right.
if you're going off script and all of a sudden you're starting to bet wildly, someone will interview and say, "What are you doing? You don't normally do this. What's going on?
Mhm.
Talk to me." You know, and then you might have a little debrief session because neither of you are the shooter right now at the table, so you have that little time to chit chat and then get back on track. Plus, you have those shared rituals like we've already talked about with the Atlantic City Craps crew. We all know that, like Chris talked about, we're probably playing minimum 3 sessions a day. And the first one's called the coffee run. And the coffee run can really start at 5 a.m. or 8 a.m. And it could probably go through 11 a.m. It all depends on what's happening at the tables and whether they're good or not, and the various people that come in at different times or different days who join you and then leave you. There's always somebody new coming in or somebody coming in late to the week who's staying later and maybe you're leaving early. But there's always people around, which I really like. And a lot of times, and Chris will tell you, we can take over an entire table.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's when it's the best. When you have everybody at the table that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with, and you have the table coverage. And I'm sure, maybe we can get someone's perspective on this possibly next episode, but we've actually had full tables at Harrah's. And because of the people in our crew who play there so often that they know the pit bosses, they have actually had the pit boss open up a new table just for us.
Yep.
And it really feels like VIP service.
Yeah. Because they know we'll fill it up. They know.
They know we're not coming there with chump change either. They know where we're going to play.
Oh,
They know
exactly. That, and then also too, they know, we take care of the dealers, right? The whole
exactly.
crew is taking care of the dealers the entire time. Like I don't know anybody in the crew who's not placing dealer bets. I mean, like we have, obviously in the beginning of the rolls, there's dollars on things, whatever. But I mean, I've been to sessions before where we've had the dealers at 44 inside. We've had the dealers at like 110 inside at one point. I mean, crazy numbers. Now, obviously, those rolls were really good, so we're raking in money, but we like to take care of the dealers too. And the pits recognize that, right? They know us, and like a lot of the dealers too. I mean, they know us by name. Like even when I was in Atlantic City last time, right? I pull up to the table, and I hadn't been there in a little bit, but the dealers still know me to the point where I go say hi to somebody, and the one dealer's, Chris, what's up? I'm like, Mike, how's it going? Like he knows. Like I hadn't been there in a couple weeks, right? But he knows me. And he knows, again, he knows me and he knows I take care of the dealers. So he knows my name, right? And before anybody comes in the comment, oh, you handed him your player's card. The player's card was not out yet. All right. He knows my name because I walked up to the table and I take care of them.
No, that's right. And it's a really cool feeling when, I look forward to actually seeing a certain handful of dealers when I get to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Because they've always been nice. They've always been courteous. They know that, and you'll see this a lot when you're in a crew. How many crew members do you see, Chris, who, when they buy in, always seem to ask for either 10 or 20 white chips, dollar
All the
chips?
time.
Because the whole reason is, well, for Clay and Chris and maybe Jeff, part of their white chips, they ask for 20 because they're using their chips to count the box numbers. But we're all using dollar chips to do dealer bets. Plus,
Yep.
who doesn't want good energy at a table? A craps crew can bring some really damn good energy to a table. And when you get the dealers into it and everybody's having a great time, that's when the vibe kicks. And sometimes you see some multiple long rolls,
For
multiple
sure.
sides of the bonus being hit.
Yep. And
A
that's
good
what we want to
vibe.
see. Always a good vibe. Always a good vibe. And that's what you want, right? When you're playing, you want that good vibe.
Yeah, and we don't have really a crew like a crew persona. However, I think it's Lou has made some hats for the crew. He's come up with an emblem that's pretty freaking
Yep.
cool. So I don't know if you'll start seeing us in matching shirts, sweatshirts, hats. I don't know if anybody will get a Atlantic City. I'd be willing to get a tattoo, but it'd have to be agreed upon
Not
with the
me.
crew.
No tattoos for DJ. We don't put bumper stickers on Bugattis.
So no, you have no ink on you whatsoever.
No ink, none.
There's nothing I can do. I've been tatted. So
Even though people might think my foot is purple right now, so they may think there's tattoos on there, but it's not.
no, you sure?
No, no ink on me. No ink
I
on
would say
me.
we could probably, wrap up the crew part with just the VIP perks and the loyalty benefits because of people in the crew. Not necessarily that everybody in the crew is 7-star, but we have enough people in the crew that we all benefit from each other. And it just makes us better players. It makes for a better experience. Um, Comp multipliers are probably the number one reason we all meet up. For the people that are out of towners, if you will, why we all are willing to travel 2 to 3 hours to go up to Atlantic City to meet up with the crew is because it's most likely a comp multiplier that's going to get us all higher levels of rewards and comps, which is exactly what we want. Because it just
Yep.
makes for more fun, and we get to eat at the best places, and we just have a really good time. And I can tell you the number one thing for me, Chris, with playing with a crew, you're never going to have more people that are cheering for you to do well than someone from a crew.
Yes. That is that, but then also on the flip side of that, you like you'll never have more people who are like picking you up if you've had a bad toss, right? So like we're all cheering for everyone to do really well, but then there's also that other side where like if you're not doing well, like people are still super encouraging. You don't have anybody, oh, screw you, you cost me this much money, right? Like I may say that as a joke, but they know I'm joking. But that's from the relationship we have, but like you'll never have more people like there in your corner to pick you up. Oh, we'll get them next time, or you'll get them on the next roll, whatever it is. And like that's a great feeling, especially when your toss may not be working or you may not be throwing well that day. Like just to have the support and just the confidence of the group. Like, oh no, like don't worry about it. Today's not your day. It's fine, whatever. And like we're all in it together.
Well, even the for us that do practice shooting, with dice sets, and we're rhythm rollers, kind of like what Jeff said. We're not really dice influencers or obviously we're not dice controllers, but we're working on our tosses daily in practice, and we take it to the casino. And the great thing about a crew is, and I think I may not have said this before, but I plan on saying it to possibly in the next episode, is a person from the craps crew told me, hey, move your landing zone about 6 to 8 inches to the left. And I extended my roll by about 12 to 18 more rolls. And that's great advice. He wasn't doing it for anything out of his benefit other than making money. We all are. But there wasn't anything in it for him. If I had PSO'd right there, he'd have been fine too and say, hey, we'll get him next time. You
Right.
know, the support system and the loyalty of the crew is just something that I just that's why I love being part of the crew. You know, and the chit
I
chat,
agree
and of course, there's
100%.
people in the crew that I love to fuck with, and they know it's all in jest because when we're at the tables, Chris has said it before, we get serious at the table. You know,
Yeah.
outside of the
And
table
there's
play, we're cutting each other down, we're joking, it's all in fun.
oh yeah. And there's nothing better than that. Like, especially even after like a losing session, right? Like it takes your mind off the losing session. You get to go and hang out and whatever. And then after a winning session, it's even better. And this usually revolves around food and going to get food, which Craig and I had an experience.
Let,
Craig and
let me
I
add
had
on
an
to that.
experience.
Let me add on that because we're talking about crew, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you been to a crew and you can't all get on the table because there's only half a table open?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
It's time. It's
It's
time
time.
for what the fuck?
Warning.
The thoughts and comments in the next segment may trigger you. If you are triggered, seek help from someone who cares.
All right, Craig, our what the fuck segment has to do with exactly what you just said. not enough crew, and what I just said, the time of you and me going to breakfast here. So, Craig, our what the fuck? What is our what the fuck today?
It is about minimum staffing at both tables and at restaurants.
It's
I'm just going to
unbelievable.
start off and say I cannot freaking stand when only half a table is open. And for the past 3 months, I've been practicing from stick left, and the left side of the table is closed. And now I have to throw from stick right because you're telling me you can't have the full table open, even though you have 5 players at the table. What the
Yep.
hell? What the fuck?
No, it's unbearable, honestly. And like a lot of these casinos, they're pissing me off with some of this stuff now, with like the staffing and other stuff now. I'm not talking about shifting to electronic games because that's a nightmare in of itself, right? Where like you need one person to run those roll to win tables and some of those other games where
Right.
you're taking people's jobs away from them. I'm talking about having staff standing around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing because you don't want to open another table when you have enough people to fill a full table plus some.
That's when you have the blackjack table and the only table is open is the continuous shuffler at a 6 to 5 table. Even though
Yeah.
you see dealers walking around and there's 5 people at that one table.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? Like the craps tables, other stuff, like you have the players, right? And I'm not saying that this is just a one-off spot where like you happen to have 100 people come to the casino. No, like this is going to be a busy weekend, right? And you don't have enough tables open, but you have staff standing around. I got a problem with that, right? And like even if you don't have staff standing around, you should know that it's going to be busy. Add some overtime in there. Add something because it's going to be busy, right? I don't want to see blackjack tables full with 2 rows of people standing waiting to get on the table. Same thing with the craps table. Full craps table with people trying to squeeze in wherever they can find a sliver of light in between everybody standing around the table. It's going to be busy. Staff accordingly at the craps table and for the love of God at restaurants too.
I don't want to give away our top 5s, but we do want to talk about our own experience at a restaurant that we just went to in Atlantic City during the 10 times multiplier. And right before we get into that, I just want to say what Chris just talked about. If it's a 10-tier multiplier, you fucking know that people are going to be there. Why only have one craps table open with people literally standing behind, almost like at a gas station where you have cars behind other cars waiting to get to the pumps? And like you have 10 cars waiting to get to 12 pumps. Literally, you have enough people, more than enough people to open up a second table.
Yep.
But you refuse to. You're like, oh, we don't want to open up till 1 o'clock. It's 9 a.m., motherfucker. Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Oh, also going off that before we get into our experience, don't tell players that you're going to open another table and then not open that table. All right. Like that is a cardinal sin, in my opinion. Like, don't give people the hope of, oh, you're going to open a third table. You're going to open a second table when you have no intention of opening it just to get them to shut up. That's not right. It's really not right. But to our experience, Craig, all I'll say is I had a great time hanging out with you.
Yes.
But waiting an hour and a half to get an omelet,
It was brutal. It was brutal.
that was awful.
The wait
And
staff there was what's the word? What's the word for it? They weren't even there. We saw
non-existent.
three wait staff in an hour to cover an entire restaurant that probably has 175 capacity.
And it was full.
Right. It was full.
I mean, and breakfast food does not take long to cook. Like, and I'm not shitting on the wait staff here, okay? Like, please get this through your head. Craig and I are not shitting on the wait staff. We are shitting on the planning behind and not having enough wait staff. But I'm also maybe shitting on the wait staff a little bit because when you're busy and you're gonna go hide because you don't want to deal with people, that's problematic as well. But yeah, I mean, breakfast is not that hard to cook, and it doesn't take that long to cook it. So when we're waiting an hour and a half for an omelet, that's going to be a problem. I was also waiting 30 minutes for my coffee, but that's beside the point.
I was just going to say, didn't we wait 25, 30 minutes for a coffee?
Yeah, and then we asked for a to-go cup, and we were given one without a lid.
Oh my
Because
God,
I'm going to walk around with boiling hot coffee in my
And no
hand
lid.
and spill it all over myself. That's unbelievable. But for people, stop. And for the casino people who are listening to this, the execs who aren't listening to this, because I know you're not. Yeah, management. Staff accordingly. For the love of God, put enough people on the floor. Put enough people in your restaurants. Don't kill the people who are actually working because they're getting bombarded. It's not a good experience for them, and it's not a good experience for the customer. Customer
Plus
service, man. What the fuck?
Plus, we waited 15 minutes or 10 minutes for a hostess to even
Yeah.
come by the hostess desk to say, "Did you want to sit anywhere?" Yeah, like we've been standing here for 10 minutes.
No, I'm just waiting here because I thought this was a good place to wait.
What the
Are
fuck?
you here to eat? No, I'm here to gamble in a restaurant. Like what? What
As
the fuck?
always, I shake my hands because I love when we get to the top 5. And what we
Oh,
just
yes.
talked about leads into our top 5. And what is our top 5 today, Chris?
Our top 5 is the top 5 reasons we hate the couple next to us at breakfast.
Right there. That's good. That's funny enough, man.
Let's set the scene real quick for this because the people next to us at breakfast were they might be nice people, I don't know. To me, they were obnoxious pigs.
Yeah, don't
Like
go into the
that's the
top
only
5
way I
yet.
can describe them.
That's a good generic description of what we were encountering. Probably in their late 50s, early 60s, I'd say. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. All right, Craig.
All right.
So, number
All right.
5, the reason you hate people at breakfast next to us.
Number 5. We've been waiting an hour for our food while the waitstaff is continuously bringing out food for your table that we know you didn't order at all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. This they had a feast, let's say. A feast. I mean, they could have fed the whole casino. All right, my number 5 is it's the morning time. I don't want to hear about your daytime soap opera family drama that's going on. I don't care. Speak softly. The whole casino and the whole restaurant does not need to know what happened to your daughter yesterday, what happened to your son, and what your sister's going through. Believe me, we don't care.
You're right. You're right.
Number 4.
Number 4. Stop looking at me while you're eating. Was that a partial smile? Ew.
She's hitting on you, Craig. She wants to become Mrs. OBC.
She went like this and then started continuing chewing.
That was an experience, man. Unbelievable. All right, number 4. Please stop with the ridiculous food modifications and constantly ordering more that you didn't order in the first place. I don't need
You may go
to
right
give
into
me.
my number 3.
I like it. I like it. I was just gonna add on there that she wanted a pancake, no pan, no cake, but still wanted the pancake.
That's great.
Number 3.
All right, number 3. We understand you're at a half circle booth, but are you literally ordering food to cover the entire fucking table due to a fear of clear spaces?
Yeah, that FOMO of missing out on one bite of food. All right, number 3. Please clean up after yourself. Nobody wants to see the 15 plates of half-eaten food at your table and the 6 takeout containers you took with you.
6.
6. I counted. That's breakfast for the
God.
month.
Oh my God.
Oh man. If you can't tell, we had a great time at breakfast. All right, Craig.
All
Number
right.
2.
For number 2, I'm going to preface that this was, we had just gotten our food. It was after the hour and a half we had to wait. So we had already, Chris and I were actually almost finished eating. Number 2, did you just order milk? For Christ's sake, are you done ordering?
Man, they needed milk to wash down the pancake that they never touched.
Oh my God.
Oh
That came out, I
my.
was like, is that warm? Because we've been waiting a long time.
Yeah, the milk might be curled on the top and like settled. Oh man. All right, number 2. Don't worry. The waiter heard you. There's no need to be disrespectful and keep telling him, "Did you hear what I said?" and talking slow at the waiter.
They were rude. They were,
They were. And like the waiter heard you the first time. Like, yes, he heard you wanted your extra crispy bacon. Yes, we heard extra crispy. We know. And then order something else that, oh, wait, extra crispy bacon. Yeah, I got that. You want a second order, third order? Like, I'm confused.
that was extra crispy bacon after they had ordered sausage.
Yeah. After they had ordered pork roll and scrapple and the whole menu. All right, Craig, number 1.
Number 1, and it probably feels like it should be number 2, but Yeah, it's been an hour and Chris and I are starving. Could we borrow the waiter for just a moment, you jackass?
Yeah, the waiter spent way too much time at that table.
That's because they were bringing out so much freaking food. There had to be, and we're not kidding, there had to be at least 23 plates on their table.
Yes.
Again, it was a half
think
circle
about
booth.
it. Think about it. They each had an omelet, right? So that's 2 plates. They each had an order of sausage on the side. That's 2 more. Each had an order of bacon. Each had an extra order of toast. Each had an order of pancakes. I'm at 12 right now.
Don't
And
forget the milk,
that's don't forget the milk, the muffins, the coffee, the
muffins.
cranberry juice, the orange juice. I mean, for the love of God.
I thought at one point somebody ordered oatmeal too, but
All right. Who knows? They may have taken that home too.
all right, what's your number one?
All right, my number one goes along. I forget what number it was for you, even, but number
That
one,
was my number one.
The loud and obnoxious chewing that I can hear over our conversation, and for the love of God, stop smiling at me with your mouth open with food in it. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in general. But like this lady, I mean, if I could tell you the chewing, like I could tell you exactly what she was eating without even looking what she was putting in her mouth from the table, because you could just see it when she was chewing, and you could hear it over all the family drama that was going on.
They're doing all that shit, and Chris and I are trying to drink hot cup of coffee with no lid.
Yeah, but I think our coffee was kind of cold at that point. We were waiting for our refill that we never got.
We were there so long, Jeff came and joined us 2 hours into it
After a 40-something roller.
and still ordered something for him. So,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Man, what an experience at breakfast, though, man.
Top
We
5
had a good
reasons
time,
we hate
but
the couple next to us.
yeah, I think we also, you and I both, like, collectively went to the bathroom like 4 or 5 times because we were there for so damn long. I mean, I was sitting there, I'm like,
Well, you can only
let me
drink
get my
so much
food.
coffee without anything for it to attach itself to.
Yeah, literally. Well, that, and then, like, then he asked me, do I want my muffin to come out sooner? If I would have known, the muffin would have came out 30 minutes after I ordered instead of an hour and a half. Maybe I would have. I would have been like, hey, you want to share this muffin with me so at least we have something?
Well, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that was an experience. So if anyone has had an experience like that, let us know. And if you are that lady, don't be. All right. Don't be that person in a restaurant, because as somebody who has worked in a restaurant, you are the worst, the absolute worst. And to make people better, and hopefully her better, Craig, what is our tip of the episode?
Our tip of the episode is cash out now. Go home a winner. All right? Just go home a winner. You know, a lot of times we go to the casino and we have a session and maybe we got down and then we had to, somebody went on a monster roll, but that was just enough to get us $5 to $10 in profit. It's a win, people. It's a win. Remember, breaking even is a win at the casino. So go home now, cash out, and go home a winner. Always.
Yes, and don't be greedy. All right? Don't be greedy. Take the money, run, go home, be happy that you're not a loser.
That's right.
That's right. Well, Craig, I think this was an awesome episode. Talked about some meetups, talked about some crews, little what the F.O.C segment. Great top 5 list, man. I mean, great top 5. I saw you almost spit your drink out. I was like, this is great.
You know, here's what I'll tell the folks and the listeners. The top 5s have been so fun because A, they're not always about playing. B, they've all been different, right?
Yep.
Every single one of them, and that's what we keep trying to find, are just completely different top 5 ideas that are not actually maybe part of us talking about gambling. So some will be, you know, gambling based, but you know, you just saw right there, like that wasn't gambling based, even though we were at a restaurant at Atlantic City Casino, but still.
Well, that top 5 came about from that breakfast because we were literally sitting there adding to our list of what we were going to talk about based off what she was doing and her husband or whoever that was.
And Chris and I love when life scripts our episodes.
Oh, yes. It's the best. It's the best. We hope you guys enjoyed this. We hope you found it valuable. If you did, if you wouldn't mind dropping a like. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe, please. We would appreciate it. Again, on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Full Length Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can always email us at fullofchipspodcast@gmail.com. Craig, it's been a pleasure as always.
As always, Mr. DGen. And if you're going to be a DGen,
make sure you're full of chips.